Hi, this is Felipe Osorio, and welcome to Second Earth Alternative. All right, we have a great episode today. I really want to talk about this individual named Luis Elizondo. Now, for those who don't know who he is, he used to work at the Pentagon and basically resigned just before coming out with this fact from his perspective, that UFOs are real, that the Pentagon, our government has essentially been studying UFOs. This was all unveiled by the New York Times. And what's so impressive about this account is that Luis Elizondo was actually heading this program that was studying UFOs, which was partially being funded by Robert Bigelow from Bigelow Aerospace, who works in tangent with NASA. So this was huge news for the UFO circles. You know, yesterday he had this interview on the nationally syndicated program Coast to Coast AM. Now, Look, I used to be a fan of Coast to Coast. I'm no longer subscribed to them. But I did read the transcript from the interview. Now, Luis Elizondo, he's very, having worked at the Pentagon, he's very cryptic with everything that he says. So you have to kind of break down, what he says in almost like an investigative way. But let's go over some of the true things that he said that I thought was really, really interesting. When being asked, and let me show you over here, regarding whether these UFOs can potentially be dangerous, right? He said, if it's another country that has it, then they had it for a really, 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 really long time. And we're just now getting to understand the physics behind it, okay? So right here, he's kind of trying to imply that at the current moment, we are actually understanding the physics of these objects, right? So try to remember this, because I'm going to come back to this point in just a second. And the other thing that I thought was really, really interesting that he said was, in regard to the materials that they were possibly putting into a safe, and I believe it's in some complex headed by Robert Bigelow, the guy who I told you works in tangent with NASA. He helps them with, I think, for capsules for the International Space Station. But right here, he was talking about these materials that are exotic materials that are being housed in this complex. The material, exactly as Puthoff indicated, has incredibly unique isotopic ratios, would be incredibly expensive to make, does not occur naturally on Earth, and they appear to be engineered and manufactured in a very precise manner, and when subjected to things, they react in a way. Now, this is going to be really hard to believe, guys, and this is going to sound really, really crazy, but I used to have a teacher. He's a science teacher, and he's since those times he's now become famous. In fact, I'll show you why he's famous. It's quite startling. He was the famous suspended teacher who died in a truck crash after apparently having misconduct with children. So he was kind of being accused of child molestation, basically, which sucked because he happened to be one of my favorite teachers prior to me finding out about this. But the reason why I want to talk about this teacher is because in this class, right, he actually, if anybody went to Joaquim Moraga Intermediate School and they remember Mr. Witters and they saw this, please come forward, because I'm really trying to understand what it was that we saw that day. So we walk into class one day, right? And Mr. Witters has one of those old school film projector. And he's telling us that he's going to show us a very important scientific discovery. So we sit back, and you can tell it's a very old film, one of those black and white films, being projected in one of those old school projectors. And the film shows these guys, and I just remember they looked like they were wearing like white, almost like scientific looking clothes. Some of them seem to be wearing like masks, and they grabbed this like tinfoil like object. Let me show you what it looked like from my memory. It was kind of like this. It was this weird foil material, and the guys crumpled it, and then they opened their hands, and you can see it the thing just go like perfectly smooth. And at first it started kind of slowly, but then it accelerated faster and faster, right? And I just remember like asking him like what the hell this was, and he never really went into depth about where he got the footage or who these people were or exactly what the material was, but only to say that this was an important scientific discovery that they had been working on. So let me tell you, when I read this Luis Elizondo thing about the foreign material, and then I remembered that video from Mr. Witter's class, and I want anybody, if they went to JM, Walking Intermediate Moraga School, and they had Mr. Witters for teacher, please contact me, because I want to know if you guys saw the same video. So moving on, one other thing that I wanted to talk to you guys regarding this Luis Elizondo interview is in a transcript, he gives a very interesting clue. Now, remember in the beginning how he said that we're just getting to understand the physics of these crafts. And if you remember, right, I had the Alien Abduction episode, and in the Alien Abduction episode, I was very clear about this mechanism or possible mechanism for these crafts being able to essentially capture these people in the middle of the night. And if you remember, I talked about quantum mechanics, right? Only because I saw this video talking about quantum mechanics being a science of isolation, and that if you can isolate large units, that you can essentially get them to act like quantum particles, so they can do amazing things like go through walls, travel maybe through space and time, and that was the justification for trying to say that high society with high technology would essentially, it would make sense that they would be able to go through wall if their mechanism in terms of being able to travel through space and time was a mechanism of isolation. If they somehow had figured out how to isolate themselves to create this quantum process. And so, if you want to see the video, I'll show you a real quick clip. It's right over here.
If we could put him in a vacuum chamber, and we could
do it all the time.
Yeah, and we could completely isolate him from his surroundings, he would behave like a quantum object. He would be able to go through two doors simultaneously and do all these incredible things. And that's, of course, that's what a quantum computer is. I mean, it's an attempt to build something big that is quantum, to exploit the ability of an atom to be in many places at once, to do many calculations at once.
Okay, so if you guys saw the abduction episode, right, where I was trying to explain those mechanisms, listen to what Mr. Elizondo said in this interview. You learn in high school physics that two things can't occupy the same place at the same time. And usually that's true until you get to quantum level. General relativity. Now he's telling us what it's like right now, okay guys? Listen here. General relativity is still correct. But we now know that there are some nuances. You mean quantum mechanics? Like, what? Like this is like independent confirmation. Like, again, guys, like, here we are, we're putting this like Alien Abduction episodes, then we get the independent confirmation from that Australian Skies movie that essentially was highlighting Alien Abduction episodes with the exact same descriptions. And then here I was telling you guys of this possible scientific mechanism for alien abductions, and only a couple days later, Mr. Elizondo comes out on Coast to Coast and tells you guys that quantum mechanics, as hint hint, is possibly the physics that they're starting to figure out. I mean, this is huge. This is like, I don't know. For me, it's huge. For me, it's like, okay, I feel like I'm on the right track. This information is right. I'm giving you guys good information because it's being verified here, back and forth. So, yeah, guys, just really want to share that to all the loyal followers, the people who've been watching the episode over and over and been seeing all these developments that have been happening. And, of course, I can't end an episode without a UFO picture. This came from one of my recent abductees. I don't want to say my recent abductees, just the abductees that I have been in correspondence with and who have been happy to share their stories with me. And he's been sharing a lot of images. And so let's take a look. This image, once again, I put it through EasyTrue, and it did pass. Here I'll show you. See, high trust passing from EasyTrue. So when you take a look at the image, right, what I can tell you is this image is straight off his phone. So, and there's 0 alterations. So whatever the object is, you guys can kind of do your own judgments, essentially. Don't say, I'm showing you guys something cool. Don't come hard and being like, oh, this guy's trying to show us proof of UFOs, but it's not. No, you guys get to judge on your own. All I'm saying is that this image has been authenticated to be legitimate. That's all. But okay, so take a look at this. Like, what the hell? And this is like a legitimate image, right? So then I put like a little channel mixer, and it just takes this really interesting like triangular form. And it's cool, man. I mean, here's an abductee who keeps sending me pictures after pictures after pictures, and it's being authenticated. It's real, and it's spooky. It's weird. Like I know that's not an airplane. I know that's not a bird. It looks like some kind of like triangle. If I'm gonna be frank about it, another image that he sent us was one that was actually taken just today. Actually, and maybe like it was taken yesterday, but it was definitely like in the last day or so. But check this out. Look at this. How strange, right? And so it looks like just some like weird like ink block thing, right? But then when you put a channel mixer on this thing, you get that weird triangular shape again, right? That he was getting in the first image. It's weird. I mean, his images are being authenticated. There's something to this. But what really got my attention, right, was when I zoomed out and I noticed that outside of this triangle, we also have these interesting little orbs, right? And I know it's kind of hard to see, but let me zoom in for you guys. Look at this. So this may not look like anything. It might just look like a little speck. I'll put some channel mixer so you can see it more clearly. But it's when I went down here that I started thinking, okay, if this is hoax, right, well, this would be really, really hard to prank. Let me show you why. When you go down here, right, you see another little speck, right? But check this out. As you start putting the channel mixer, you can see that whatever this object is, it's like the Chicago O'Hare UFO, where they spotted some disc-like object punching through the clouds. And if you look over here, you see that there's essentially like a hole, like, and you can almost see like waves, like on this hole. So what I'm trying to say is, whatever object is in this camera, in this image that can be authenticated, it is leaving some kind of trail on the clouds. And let me put another channel mixer to show you even more clearly. Look at that. How spooky is that? And so this is just one of those details that if this guy was trying to hoax an image, then this is a hell of a thing to try to put it in, like to kind of disguise this punching through the cloud thing. And they didn't even tell me about it, right? So now here's what's so cool about this, guys. This image was literally like taken yesterday. So he's giving me live updated UFO images on the spot, and I'm here sharing it with you guys. Wanted to give you guys a look at what this is. And basically, guys, if you guys have any impressions, if you guys have any comments about it, please comment below. This is going to be happening on a daily basis. Hopefully he'll be sending me more images. We just got this today. So yeah, guys, one last thing, don't go anywhere yet. We still have to do our remote viewing session. Now, last time the remote viewing session, nobody got it correct. It was just a ace of clubs, right? And as you see, I put the little number over here. Somebody did say it was like a tower that might have been from above. And so there is this thing in the back of the card. So I guess that's the closest one to the remote viewing session. But I'm going to call it a fail for that one. But we do have a new one, new envelope. All I can say is that there is an image over here. I'm trying to cover it so you guys don't see the image. But we got the letters and the numbers. It's AJY 63892. So I'm trying to be a little bit more specific with the letters and the numbers. So, however these mechanisms of remote viewing work, I just want to bring more specificity to this so that maybe it's more easily targeted. And this exact sequence of letters and numbers I did write on the picture, so you guys should be able to hopefully target this with no problem. But if you guys have any recommendations, any constructive criticism as to how to improve this session, please leave your comments below. And guys, just remember, put RV : in your guesses, and I'm really curious to see if you guys get this one right. So, all right, guys. Once again, thanks for joining me. I'll be trying to put out more episodes a little bit more frequently. I've been having some personal issues lately that I've just been, dealing with, and it's just taking a little bit longer to come out with these episodes. But guys, once again, thanks for sticking around. This is Felipe Osorio. We'll be coming out with new live updated UFO images, hopefully, if the UFO abductees keep sending amazing images like this. So, thanks for joining me once again. This is Felipe Osorio, signing out.